Hey guys, long time no see, huh? Well, you probably don't really want to see my face. You probably just really want to see the cards I got. Nothing too big. I will show you this though. This is a Order of Chaos sneak peek mat. I won this at a sneak peek tournament not too long ago whenever I first moved here to Texas. A lot of people were kind of baffled with, all the stuff that I played, spellcaster and everything like that. Of course, really kind of knocked the wind out of some people around here. But yeah, I won this sneak peek map maybe about, well, whenever Order of Chaos actually came out. Not too long ago, I went to a regional where I got this mat. I didn't win this mat. Instead, I was at the regional with a couple of my friends. I was doing pretty good. I was 3-1, and unfortunately, everybody else was either 1-3 or 2-2, and the tournament turned out to be a total bust. We probably weren't going to get as far. This mat was given to me by one of the card vendors. I had a tour bus, an unneeded used tour bus, and of course, tour bus was going at around $50. And this mat happened to be up there at the vendor. I traded him a tour bus for this mat. What makes this mat really special is that it's a double mat. It's double the size so that two people can actually play on it. After I bought the mat, I competed in the regional with it, and some people were like, wow, that's actually really cool. But of course, it just filled up room for other people not to play with their own mats. But that's really all I got new so far. So, here's the first deck I'm going to show you. I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decks working on a 6, and one is completely broken. And of course that would be the Malefic deck, which I won't show you. But 5 decks, and this is the first deck I've got. This deck you might actually recognize from Alex Anderson, one of my college friends. We traded a deck for deck. My Exodia deck for his Fabled World deck, which I had built him. Here are, of course, the synchros for the Fabled deck, and here's the deck itself. Also, along with that, here is my extra deck, like setup going on. Anything that, would be like a staple within the extra deck is in here. And, of course, it becomes pretty useful. So, pretty much with every deck, it has its own little extra deck featuring its own little cards. And then, of course, I got this extra deck for the staple extra cards. So, anyways, let's go through the main deck. Also, as a shout out to my friend Alex, you are definitely a lucky man. I don't exactly know how this came into your mind or not, but when you gave me this deck, some of the cards, of course, actually did belong to me at the point in time, but there was Trishula, and you wanted to give Trishula back to me. And then, of course, what happens? Trishula gets banned. I hate you for that. I really miss you, though, and I really love the deck. I've rebuilt it in order to work smoother, a little more clean, but very, very dirty. This is a dirty, dirty deck. Anyways, we're going to get to it really quick. It's a Fabled World deck. This, of course, would be the lineup of the Dark World monsters. Of course, 2 Graphas. Alright, Grapha is very, very useful. Essential for the entire deck, period. Snows, the Searcher. 3 Brow. I have 1 ulti right there in the middle. Sexy. Of course, the essential draw power of the deck. I learned something new not too long ago, that Dark World monsters can't get their effects if the card being used is requiring it to be at cost during the discard. So I learned that whenever I came here. You learn something new all the time. 2 gold. A lot of people think maybe, hey, why not run beige? You can normal summon it and probably not have to worry about gold being a 5-star. There's a reason why I have gold in here. There are reasons for everything, why I built them. Okay, and then of course, here comes the lineup for the Fables. Fables are a little bit bigger, but of course they are the bigger support for the deck. 2 Fabled Ravens. I only need 2. I don't really need 3. Discarding power without it being a cost, so it does work for the Dark Worlds. Very, very essential for the deck. This card, of course, can also be special summoned by Cruces. 2 Cruces are in the deck. And Ravens can also be searched by 2 Grimrow. Within the deck are 2 Cerberell, basically the mean, keen machine to all the synchro abilities. 2 Kushana, which of course also is very good for discarding purposes for some of the Fableds. This of course can be tied along with Cerberell or Ganassia. Ganassia, level 3, quick 1800 attack monster out in the field. Gets banished whenever it leaves the field, but oh well. And then of course 2 Nuzuchi. Nuzuchi pretty much good with discarding and also a special ability. You could discard a Kushana and then special summon a Cerberell from your hand, sink into Unicorn or maybe even, Kudabi. Then of course there's Morphing Jar. Gold rare, pretty card, very pretty. Alright, next we've got the magics. Quite a bit of magics in the deck, kind of like, my spellcasters, basically the way that I like them. Within the deck is 2 Into the Voids. Into the Void necessarily was a card meant for Infernities. Hell, they even have Infernity cards printed on the card. But it helps with that extra draw, and it also helps with discarding at the very end. All cards from your hand get discarded. So you basically load up the field with whatever you can, discard the rest, and let their effects go to work. And it's not a cost. So, it really helps with the Dark Worlds at ease. People are probably wondering, hey, if you have an empty hand, what's the use for, your next hand? Well, the problem is that with Into the Void, you get Brow, you get Snow, you get Grapha, you get Destruction, you get Search, and then you get Draw. So, you'll never really run out of a hand. This deck draws a lot. 2 Gates of the Dark World. Gates, of course, the essential playing field to the entire deck. Everybody knows how it runs. Banish, Stitch, Draw. Card Destruction, of course, main essential to the deck. Kind of glad this card didn't get banned. It really helps. Of course, you could be going up against another Dark World deck and could really screw over how you play the game, but that's why there's only 1, and that's why there should only be 1. Of course, there's also Morphing Jar, but that also helps you draw, so yay for that. Book of Moon, very essential to the deck, mainly because Morphing Jar is in there, but also because it's very versatile. I love Book of Moon being in this deck. Quick play, very easy to use. Then, of course, there's the staples: Monster Reborn, Heavy Storm, Dark Hole, and 2 MSTs. I would have only 1 MST because there's 1 card that I really wish I could have in the deck that I can't find. I don't know if anybody has it. It's Dark Smog. It's a trap card. Could really use that in this deck. But then, of course, going to the traps, we only have 5. I know. It's kind of weird for me not to have so many traps. I normally run a little bit more. But there are 3 Reckless Greeds in the deck. Reckless Greeds are extremely useful to help get that extra draw. You don't really essentially need a draw phase in order for this deck to work. That's why Reckless Greeds are in there. Then, of course, you've got Torrential Tribute, getting rid of some unuseful cards that your opponent could probably play against you. And then Royal Decree, because there's not many traps to really go on with the deck. Why not make sure that your opponent can't have any traps either? So, that's the main deck. And then here comes the extra deck. We'll start with the deck's actual extra deck, coming with 2 Leviathans. Most Fabled decks, they play either 2 or 1 Leviathan because Leviathan could always load itself back into the extra deck. I decided to run 2 because I prefer it. 2 Reagans. Would run a 3rd if I had one, but I don't. Has that essential extra draw power just for a quick sync, and then of course it becomes a 2300 beat stick, 26 just in case if Gates is on the field. Valkyrius, only 1. Only really need 1, mostly because his effect is a cost, so his effect doesn't really work with the Dark Worlds at all. But it will help with the Fables like Cruz and Kushano. And then of course Unicorn, which is probably, you know, the number 1 card in the deck that really helps me a lot, get past a lot of things. Unicorn really helps. I specifically load up the right amount of cards in my hand and then screw up whatever my opponent has to play. And then of course there's Kudabi. Where can you go wrong with Kudabi? No cards in hand, indestructible as much as it could possibly be. Of course there are ways around it, but when your opponent doesn't have much of a hand either, it's kind of hard for him to get around it too, isn't it? Okay, what other cards would actually be beneficial with this deck? Here's the extra deck. Of course, let's see, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's only 7 in the extra deck, so that means I could have 8 of this, staples. So 1 would be Tiras, 2 would be Adrius, 3 would be Gachi Gentetsu, 4 would be Stardust, 5 would be Ally of Justice, 6 would be Black Rose Dragon, and 7th would be Scrap Dragon, and the final card would probably be Ally of Justice Decisive Armor, just in case I'm probably going up against a mirror match of Fableds, or even Lightsworn, which are actually making a heavy impact. So that, of course, would be the 8 other cards within the extra deck as staple extras. Anyways, that's all for the Fabled deck. We'll be working on the next video soon. Catch you later. By the way, Alex, thank you. I really appreciate it. I hope the Exodia deck does well for you. I hope you can figure out and unlock the secret of the deck. Of course, it's not really much of a secret, but there is a correct way of playing it. I hope you can find it. And catch you later.